Namaskar, I am Dr. Anshul Bajpai. Welcome to this YouTube video. Today I am going to discuss about the unification of Italy. In fact, these two incidents, unification of Italy and unification of Germany, were the prominent incident of 19th century, which gave to the birth of even First World War. In other words, we can say the unification of Italy and Germany brought the drastic change in political system of the world. Unification of Italy and unification of Germany were the result of the emerging nationalism in Europe. The French Revolution of 1789 is considered for the emerging nationalism. In fact, Napoleon conquered many regions of the Europe and implemented the Napoleon Code of Law in those regions. This oneness of the law evolved nationalism in Europe. Initially, the Italy was not a full-fledged state. In fact, Italy was not existing before 1860. Italian culture was spread in several distinct regions. Italian people, Italian language was spoken in several regions. In fact, these were the regions. You should remember Sardinia, Piedmont, Sardinia, this one, and Piedmont, this one. Sardinia, Piedmont, Parma, Modena, Tuscany, Naples, Sicily, Rome, Venetia. In these regions, Italian people were spread. But these regions were not recognized as a state. These regions either were directly controlled by Austria or indirectly controlled by Austria. Let me explain. Parma, Modena, Tuscany. Parma, Modena, Tuscany. Here, so-called, you can say, a pseudo-democracy was, or pseudo-republic administration was there, indirectly controlled by the Austria. Monarchy was there in Sardinia and Piedmont. Monarchy was there. Sicily and Naples. Sicily and Naples. These regions were controlled by Bourbon dynasty of the France. Bourbon dynasty. You should be aware about the Bourbon dynasty. In fact, before the French Revolution, the king of Bourbon dynasty was there. And you should know one more thing, that the queen of the Bourbon dynasty belonged to Austria. Correct? So, Napoleon substituted this Bourbon dynasty. Obviously, France would be the enemy of the Austria in such a way. Anyway, so this Naples and Sicily, these were controlled by the Bourbon dynasty. Rome was controlled by the Pope, and Pope with the help of France. In this way, Italy was divided into several parts. The Treaty of Vienna, or you can say Vienna Conference, 1815. Many times I told you. However, this conference was called to bring balance of power in Europe so that Europe could be protected from any further conflicts, so that Europe could be protected from the evolution of any dictators or conqueror. But this Vienna Congress was Vienna Congress was called just to strengthen the powers of powerful states, just to strengthen the powers of some states such as England, France, France, England, Austria, even Prussia. The Treaty of Vienna was an irrational treaty and pushed the national development of Italy into a century back. It divided many states of Italy and gave it to the control of Austria. Similarly, it did with the German states. I have made a video on the unification of Germany. You can go through that video for the betterment, for the better understanding of the unification of Germany. Once you watch the video of unification of Germany and Italy simultaneously, then you can get more things and your concept would be more clear. So the link of unification of Germany is given in description. After the Vienna Conference, Italy was fragmented and brought under the control of Austria, and Italy had become mere a geographical entity, not a cultural entity or political entity. These were the basic hurdles against the unification of Italy. Domination of the foreign reactionaries, particularly Austria. Austria was a dictator or imperialist, or you can say reactionaries, and Lombardy and Venetia were directly controlled by Austria. Lombardy and Venetia was directly controlled by Austria. You should remember these facts. Parma, Modena, Tuscany were indirectly controlled by Austria, and these Sicily and Naples were controlled by the Bourbon dynasty. So indirectly, entire history was controlled by the foreign reactionist power. Bourbon dynasty was also reactionist. When you study about the French Revolution, you will see how far Louis 14, 15, 16 were reactionist, and Louis 14, 15, 16 were related with Bourbon dynasty. Correct? And Bourbon dynasty had sympathy or had attached with Austria because the in-laws were living in Austria. The wife of Louis, Mary Antoinette, she was from Austria. So indirectly, Naples and Sicily were also controlled by Austria. And Austria was not only most powerful country but also a extreme reactionist country. And without expulsion of the Austria, Italy could never be united. And since Austria was the powerful country, and for a small monarchy, that is Piedmont or Sardinia, it was almost impossible that this monarchy could expel Austria. Without getting the international support for Sardinia and Piedmont, the expulsion of Austria was almost impossible. And Rome was controlled by the Pope, and Pope backed up by the France. It was not easy to raise arms against the Pope. Rome, the French army was controlling Rome. So, and the fourth one, the lack of harmonious plan about the unification. This was another big hurdle. Some Italian scholars thought that through revolution they could unite Italy and they could establish democracy in Italy. Some people of the Italy thought that Italy could be a federation through plebiscite, through referendum. Some thought that Italy could be a monarch, constitutional monarch. Some thought that Italy could be united under the leadership of Sardinia and Piedmont. Anyway, the lack of harmonious plan about the unification of Italy was another big hurdle. And lack of national consciousness. Initially, there was no national consciousness was there in Italy. But since Italy was the place where the Renaissance evolved, Italy was the birthplace of the Renaissance during 13th-14th century, and Italy was the place of great Roman Empire. Therefore, the glorified ancient culture also pushed up for the unification of Italy. However, initially, lack of national consciousness was the big hurdle against the unification of Italy. In 1815, Napoleon was defeated. Even in 1914, Napoleon was defeated, and in 1815, Napoleon died at St. Helena Island. After the decline of Napoleon, once again the feudalism was restored in France. Once again, the Bourbon dynasty was restored in France. In this way, once again, in France, the feudal structure of the society was restored. Once again, the feudal structure was restored in other regions which were conquered by the Napoleon. So, in this way, Italy had become mere a geographical identity, and there was no hope of the unification of the Italy. So these were the reasons, but still, because of the glorified Italian culture, some people of the Italy were thinking for the unification. Therefore, several secret societies were formed, and among these secret societies, Carbonari was one of the most prominent secret society. This secret society was formed in 1810 in Naples, and the activities of society was to kill the foreigners who controlled Italy. Some patriots and supporters of the democracy joined the Carbonari, and they started the revolutionary activities in Naples, and gradually these revolutionary activities spread in other parts of the Italy. So the role of Carbonari should not be underestimated in the process of unification of Italy. In Indian context, if you see, several secret societies were formed during 1900, 1903, 1905, the formation of Abhinav Bharat by B.D. Savarkar in Maharashtra, formation of Anshilan Samiti by Barinder Ghosh in Bengal. These secret societies started to show the individual heroism, and the patriot people, those who joined these secret societies, they started the personal killing of the British officers, and particularly they started the killing of those British officers who were responsible for the maladministration. Anyway, in context of the Italy, same role was played by Carbonari. Definitely this Carbonari raised a hope among the Italians that in future democracy could be established if all the people of the Italy, all the people of the Italian regions could raise the voice against the foreign reactionaries of their country. Therefore, we see the revolt erupted in some Italian regions, mainly Papal state, in 1820, 1830, and these revolts, however, initially these revolts substituted their rulers and installed the Italian people on the throne of the Papal state, but ultimately Austria, which was the most powerful country of the world, Austria crushed this movement. And after the suppression of the revolt of 1820 and 1830s, one lesson was taught to Italians, that their efforts of freedom could never be realized until or unless Austria's control existed. It means they understood that without the expulsion of the Austria, unification of the Italy could never be realized. Therefore, the expulsion of the Austria is necessary. The economic development during 19th century, beginning of the 19th century, also brought the patriotism, also brought the concept of the oneness. Secret society was doing its own effort for the unification of Italy, but it could not achieve anything because Austria crushed every time the secret societies. See, you should remember that only through the revolution, violent revolution, you can never get success. Until or unless you are not evolving, you are not spreading the ideas among the people. Bhagat Singh used to say that the sharpness on the sword of revolution comes with the ideas. So ideas are mandatory. The ideas of the idea of nationalism, spirit of the nationalism was evolved through the Mazzini and his organization, Young Italy. Mazzini was a scholar. I think he was a professor. He also participated in 1830 revolt, and after the suppression of revolution, he was arrested and sent to, and he was imprisoned, where he wrote a Young Italy. In Young Italy, the glorification of Italian culture was explained very well. In Young Italy, it was appealed that all the people of the Italy should come together and raise their voice in the favor of the unification. Though Young Italy, Mazzini specified his goal clearly, that the realization of Italy's unity and independence and integration of the Italy into well-organized state based on the ideals of the democracy, based on ideals of the liberty, based on ideals of the fraternity and the public welfare. Inspired from Maginist efforts, a number of patriot young men joined this organization and they sacrificed their life for the unity of Italy. The young Italy was a type of army. He imparted the martial training, military training to the members of the young Italy. The numbers of the young Italy gradually increased up to maximum extent. So, young Italy was a type of patriot army which was prepared to expel Austria from the matter of Italy. So, it also paved a way for unification of Italy. Another element which was responsible for the unification of Italy was the liberal monarchies of the Sardinia and Piedmont. The Sardinia and Piedmont were the liberal monarchies, and Charles Albert, let me write the name, Albert, Charles Albert was the king of the Sardinia, and he brought several liberal reforms in his country. Under the leadership of Sardinia, Charles Albert wanted to unify the various regions of the Italy. Pope also adopted the liberal policy. Liberal policy means people of the Rome, they were free to express their ideas, they were free to express their views. They also expressed their concern about the unification of Italy. 1848, again I am in unification of Germany. I already explained about the revolution of 1848. The revolution of the 1848 brought the drastic change in the political administration of Europe. The 1848 revolt of the Europe compelled the extreme monarchies to bring the liberal reforms in their countries. 1848 revolt ended the Metternich, who was the Chancellor of Austria. Metternich had to leave the country, and Austria had to bring several economic, social, religious, political reforms in their country. First of all, the reformists of the states of Naples and Sicily started the revolt against their rulers and demanded a constitution. Ferdinand, who was the ruler of the Naples, adopted the reformist constitution. Let me repeat once again, the Naples and Sicily. These Naples and Sicily were controlled by the Bourbon dynasty, and 1848 revolt means the revolt against the Bourbon dynasty also. In 1848, the people revolted in France also. Everywhere people revolted. In France, you see the revolution in three-time revolution you see. First revolution of the France erupted in 1789, and finally Napoleon first was evolved, Napoleon Bonaparte, and in second 1830s, and third 1848. So the ruler of the Naples also adopted reformist constitution. Constitutional monarchy was established in Piedmont, Tuscany and Papal State in 1848. It was unanimously accepted by all that Austrian yoke must be removed from Italy's soldier. But anyhow, Italy recontrolled. However, but anyhow, the Austria recontrolled over the defeated states. However, initially the Charles Albert got success against the Austrian war, but once he saw that he was not getting any support from the international powers, from the foreign powers, Charles was left alone and had to surrender to Austria. In this way, the conquered regions by the Charles were also subdued by Austria. Mazzini came back to Italy during this period. He was the leader of Republican experiment who started the steering the course of national movement. In Parma Modena, Tuscany, he successfully controlled, but anyhow, this success could not be lasted for a long time. And once again, Austria controlled in this region. It was the big defeat of the Austria, and it discouraged the people of big defeat of the Italy, and it discouraged the people of the Italian regions that unification of Italy could never be realized because the defeat of Austria was almost impossible. And until or unless Austria would not be defeated in a war, unification of Italy could not be realized. We see some changes in Sardinia. Charles Albert, after the Charles Albert, Victor Emmanuel, a great warrior, a great patriot and the honest ruler, became the ruler of Sardinia. When he became the ruler of Sardinia, Austria had defeated the troops of Sardinia, and the Sardinia had to sign a humiliated treaty with Austria. It means the situation of the Sardinia was not good once he was appointed as the ruler. But he decided that he would bring the drastic changes in Sardinia. He would reform economically, he would reform in military also, he would strengthen his military, and he planned for the unification of Italy. And he knew this fact that he would have to fight against the Austria, and in this war he would have to defeat Austria, and he knew this fact very well. Without getting the foreign support of the foreign powers, it was almost impossible. Therefore, he started to search an opportunity through which he could get the support of international agency. He appointed a chancellor, Cavour, who was great diplomat of the world, just like Bismarck. But you will see the differences in Bismarck and Cavour. Cavour was a democratic and believed in referendum, believed in constitution, believed in republican states. Bismarck was not a democratic. Bismarck believed in power, and Bismarck opted the policy of iron and blood. Through the war, Bismarck decided to conquer German regions, while the Cavour decided to unify Italian states through referendum and through democratic way. He was a great diplomat, so he was also searching an opportunity through which he could get the support of the foreign powers, and this opportunity evolved during the time of Crimean War. Crimean War was fought between Turkey and Russia. Turkey versus Russia at Black Sea. Turkey was supported by England and France. Sardinia also extended its support. It was fought in 1854 and lasted up to 56. Sardinia also extended its support to France against Russia. And finally, when Russia was defeated and Treaty of Paris was signed, Kabul was called in the conference of the Paris. Here it is interesting to note that Kabul played a gamble. Kabul didn't know what would be the results of Crimean War, but Kabul knew that if anyhow he could get the support of the France and England against the Austria, he could defeat Austria in the war. Kabul thought that if he supported Russia, Russia would never give the support to Kabul against extreme monarchy, because Russia was also monarchist. Correct? But England and France, they were not the monarchists. They believed in constitutional monarchy, and even France believed in liberty, republican states. So he decided to support France. It was a gamble, but luckily he succeeded. France and England defeated Russia, and a Paris Treaty was called. At the end of this war, when the Paris Treaty was called, Kabul was invited in this treaty from the side of France. When the Kabul was asked to explain the international issue, Kabul raised the issue of the unification of Italy, and Kabul stated that the worst condition of the Italian people was just because of the Austria. And Kabul painted the miserable condition of the Italy in very impressive way and held Austria responsible for it. In this way, the Kabul converted the issue of Italy as the issue of entire Europe as well as the entire world. Since he presented the miserable condition of the Italian people in so impressive way and held Austria responsible for it, he earned the sympathy from France, England, as well as some other European powers. Therefore, it is stated by some scholars that Italy took birth from mud of Crimea. Definitely, it was the Crimean War which provided an opportunity to Kabul to participate in conference called by the international powers, where he raised his issue, where he raised the issue of Italian unification. It was the Crimean War which provided him opportunity to expose the suppressive nature of Austria in front of the world powers. After earning the sympathy from the world powers, Kabul planned for the war against the Austria. Here Kabul thought to get the support of the France. There was an incident happened. This is called the Orsini incident. Let me write Orsini incident. Orsini incident. Orsini incident. Orsini incident. The revolutionaries of young Italy tried to assassinate Napoleon, but they failed. They couldn't assassinate Napoleon, but his bodyguard of Napoleon were killed. However, Cavour condemned this crime done by Orsini, but Orsini sent a letter to Napoleon and asked that why you are silent in the matter of nationalism. You are the father of nationalism and you are silent in the matter of unification of Italy. You evolved, Orsini stated this, you evolved the spirit of nationalism among the Italian regions. You evolved the spirit of nationalism in entire Europe, but in the matter of unification of Italy, you are silent. Napoleon was very much impressed by Orsini's letter, in which he had prayed him to do something for the independence of Italy. After this incident, Sardinia and France met and signed an agreement called Plomberie Agreement. Let me write the name. Plomberie Agreement. Plomberie Agreement. Plomberie Agreement. As per this agreement, it was decided, Plomberie Agreement, as per this agreement, it was decided that France would support Sardinia during Austro-Sardinian War, and Napoleon promised that Lombardy, Venetia and other parts will remain with Sardinia after the expulsion of Austria. In revert of this promise, Cavour also ensured the Napoleon to concede the region of Savoy and Nice to France. The war started between Austria and Sardinia. Everybody knows, if the Napoleon supported Sardinia, definitely Austria could be easily defeated, and after the defeat of Austria through referendum, these regions were merged with Sardinia, and a Villafranca Treaty was signed. Villafranca Treaty was signed. As per this treaty, Napoleon decided to withdraw itself from the Austro-Sardian War, and Lombardy will be given to Sardinia, while Venetia would remain with Austria. The rulers of the central Italy, Parma, Modena, Tuscany, should be restored, and Italy will be converted into federation under the presidency of the Pope, and Austria will become and Venetia will become the part of that Italian confederation. This Villafranca Treaty once again hampered the prestige of Cavour. And after this Black-Panther Treaty, Kabul was highly criticized in his country, Sardinia. Actually, why Kabul had to sign this Black-Panther Treaty? Once again, you have to understand. France wanted to withdraw itself because France was involved in enmity against the Prussia during this time. If you watch the video of the German unification, you can understand this point very well. Once the France withdrew itself in the matter of Austro-Sardinian war, this Kabul could not do anything alone. Therefore, Kabul accepted this treaty. Anyhow, some part of the Italian region could be merged with Italy. However, other part remained under the control of Austria and remained under the control of the Pope. But it was very well understood that in future these non-conquered states could also be merged with Italy. At the time of Austro-Sardinian war, whole Italy was doused in the spirit of nationalism. At the same time, people of central Italy expelled the rulers of Parma, Modena, Tuscany, and people removed the representatives of the Pope from some regions of the Italy, such as Bolgona, Romagna, and established the temporary government there. The regions passed a resolution and described merge with Sardinia. Liberal government of the England also supported unification of Italy in this matter. The merger of Naples and Sicily was still remained. Italy had to conquer, Sardinia had to conquer some regions, Naples, Sicily, and Venetia. This work done by the Garibaldi. Garibaldi. Who was the Garibaldi? Garibaldi was a great patriot of the Italy, and through the power he conquered many regions. He revolted. The revolt in Sicily erupted, and the army of Sicily was defeated by Garibaldi. Garibaldi controlled many regions. Garibaldi, in fact, conquered Naples, Sicily, Venetia. Everywhere Garibaldi controlled. Remaining Italy was captured, conquered by the Garibaldi. Once the Garibaldi conquered new states, the Sardinia felt some problems, felt some, you can say, threat from the side of Garibaldi. Sardinia means Kabul. Kabul thought that if Garibaldi conquered all the regions, then whether the Garibaldi would accept the sovereignty of the Sardinia or not. Therefore, it was important to stop the expedition of the Garibaldi. Kabul met with Garibaldi and asked to surrender his rights to Sardinia. Kabul immediately became ready and surrendered all the conquered region to Sardinia. And when it was asked that, to Garibaldi, what type of designation you need in the empire of Italy, in the administration of the Italy, you should think this thing. Garibaldi humbly replied that there is no reward bigger than the patriotism. And Garibaldi, who conquered 50% of the Italian regions by his own muscle power, surrendered all those conquered states to Sardinia and did not accept any post, any designation in the administration. And he took, in fact, retirement. By 7th November 1860, Victor Emmanuel was declared as the ruler of combined Italy with the merger of states of the southern region, the unification of Italy was almost completed. But Parliament of Italy was formed, everything, but Rome was still, Rome and Venetia was still far from the unification of Italy. Rome was controlled by France army, Pope backed up by the French army, and Venetia was the directly control of the France. Italy got an opportunity to acquire Venetia when, if you watch the video of unification of Germany, the Bismarck of Prussia was making preparation for war against the Austria and required Italy's support in the favor of Prussia against Austria. Since Venetia was under control of the Austria, once the Austria was defeated during Austro-Prussian War, Venetia was merged with Italy. Now Rome remained, and in the third, in the Prussia-Franco War, or you can say Sedan War, when the Prussia attacked on the France. During this war, France had to withdraw its army from the Rome, and Rome was also merged with Italy. It means by 1870, the unification of the Italy was completed, the capital of Italy was shifted to Rome, and in this way, the entire unification of the Italy completed. Most of the historians comment Italy's unification, but some are critical of it because they think that Italy should be progressed after unification, but Italy could not progress. And I told you in Hindi, it is said that boya पेड़ बबूल का तो आम कहाँ से खाएं. Gandhi ji also emphasized on the sanctity of the means, sanctity of the tools. Italy and Germany both were united through violent activities. Obviously, violence would be there after the unification, and you will see in First World War the defeat of Germany, and after 1920s the evolution of the dictators in Italy and Germany both. So there was a superficial unity in the Italy, but Italian people still lacked harmony. Through the power, if you merge some regions in your state, what do you think? It would be long lasted? Long lasted? No. For time being, you can unite the people through the power, through the force. But emotional attachment is essential to control any of the region in this world. So without bringing the psychologically oneness, no nation could be united for a long time. No nation, without bringing the psychological oneness, the unity and integrity of any country cannot be protected for a long time. Thank you. All the best.